Hey guys, this is going to be my first video in a series that I'd like to do over most of the mythic bosses. That is starting with Heroic Denathrius though, because I know a few guilds have actually gone and done Shriekwing and Huntsman before finishing Heroic Denathrius. So I wanted to show you guys not how I do it with my guild, because I haven't done it with my guild in a long time, but show you how I would approach it in an actual pug, which I do pretty weekly. Usually 10 to 15 people are getting AOTC, so hopefully that's at least somewhat noticeable from what your guild is. It's all different group sizes. There's no ratio or anything. The ratio is the 239 or 24, whatever. Yeah, that's like the most overrated thing ever, especially Denathrius. It doesn't really matter what your group size is, but I'll show you how I handle it with a larger group size, which I think easily translates to a lower one. But the point of these videos is kind of not really to show you a guide. I think guides are pretty saturated. You guys know what the fight does. Maybe more show you some of the maybe fine touch things that I do in these runs with lower ranked guilds or pugs entirely, and just look at, you know, how to raid lead it. Maybe see what you should do from a raid leader's perspective. Maybe a lot of people don't look at it that way or have tips to show exactly how you do it. And I'm going to do this alongside an actual video of me raid leading a pug. We killed it in 2 pulls. This will be the second pull, and we killed it at a pretty decent time, and people listened really well and actually did pretty well. So this is just going to show you what kind of effect you can have as a raid leader on a group of people that have, most of which have never seen the boss, including both of the tanks. And you can kind of walk them through the positioning and stuff like that while playing the game as well. This will be me in the raid. So let me show you guys the video. Oh, I do have to apologize for a second. So I am using Windows Media Player, or whatever the base thing is. For whatever reason on my VLC, this thing crashes immediately every single time. So can't do it on that, which I think the only function that's weird with that is I can't like rewind. So hopefully I get that figured out. But just to guys go over P1, how I do it real quick. I split it into two soaking groups. I always push after the 5th. You guys can push after the 4th if you don't want to stop damage at all. Never wait till the 6th. It's too long to hold DPS and it's just unnecessary. All right, so I'm going to show you guys. I'm going in the first 2 phases, especially. I'm not going to let you listen to me raid lead. I'm just going to tell you what I think about the phases, because I think it's pretty easy. You just like call things that are happening. Maybe remind people exactly what side of the platform they're going on for Impale and stuff like that. And then I'll let you guys listen to it once over the P3 pull, listening to me raid leading a pug that I've never raided with before. And then I'll go back over it and tell you what things are actually important that you can apply to your group as well. Okay, so what we do on the pull, pretty simple. I'll skip ahead here a few seconds. First one's really easy. You don't need too many cooldowns. It's also just, you know, the beginning part of the fight. I feel like if there's anyone struggling with this fight, it's very rarely P1. Okay, so this is where I would have like half the group soak. Also, never have your shamans and DKs soak. How I split up this group exactly is I had groups 1 and 2 go on the first one, which you saw them all go to 4 stacks, I think, except for the tank and the priest. I think a few of them missed. On the second one, I have every non-DK and shaman, so groups 3, and then the hunter, basically. Group 3, the hunter, and the DK go to 4. So they're all actually good here. The priest corrected his mistake. The DH corrected his mistake. Or not mistake, he was actually the second tank, and he didn't go on the first one. I actually didn't design these groups very well, because I easily could have just had the shamans and DK split amongst the 2. But, you know, it's fine. If you guys are unaware why DKs and shamans don't need to, it's the Death's Advance passive, and the shaman just turns into a dog right before his 75%. There's also a cool strat you can do with druids in this fight. I specifically take, I'll pause the video here. I specifically take 5 cleansing pains in this phase. What you can do, actually Echo, the guild that figured this out, you can have a druid, which I think Fired Up does it in this video, get hit by every single one. So you just commit 1 player to get hit with all of them, and it will permanently save you from wipes where people have too many stacks. Because I think a full 3 stack can easily make it to the middle, and a 4 almost makes it to the middle with this pre-roar that I'll show you how he does it. So you'll see Fired Up go to 2 here. Obviously, we AoE this ad set. Again, I used my AMZ there. Having something like an AMZ or a Spirit Link or a Darkness just for the soaker people and then to move into it will help raid damage if you're struggling to heal it. Just a small thing, but I'm sure you've heard that before. This is something like a Devo normally. Didn't have a Holy Paladin in this group, but it's fine. Blood prices aren't usually the most lethal. And then as a raid leader as well, make sure to call out each group every single time going in. Even if you have them memorize it, just remind them. It's the exact kind of a thing that I'll go over in a raid leader video pretty soon, or maybe by the time you watch this, it's already out for you, of exactly what you should expect from a raid leader on a fight, exactly how it helps you, you know, consistency, all that kind of stuff. So here's where I call to stop damage. I push right after the next Cleansing Pain, the 5th one, not the 6th one. I used to do the 6th with damage. Now it's annoying to wait that long. So you have everyone stop, right? I'm calling to stop, calling to stop. You wait for it to go off. You actually want to wait until the ads already come down and appear before you hit 70.5. So you see the ads appear, and then we push, and no casts go off. If you push at 70.5 too early, it does some damage. Now I'm going to stop right here and show you. You're about to see a roar go over everyone's head. So what Moon Fired Up did, Fired Up's Moon Canalt, is he got hit with every single Cleansing Pain that we allowed in the phase, all 5 of them. So he has 0 stacks. So the boss doesn't, you know, incapacitate you. So you can use any ability. And he has the Roar Conduit, so it can hit everyone. So what he does is right before he throws you away, he roars everyone, right? It didn't really matter in this group because everyone's soaked correctly, but you're going in with a fresh roar all the way to the middle, and it makes all people with 3 stacks and almost 4 stacks make it, so you'll make up for a lot of mistakes. Just a little small thing you can have one of your druids do that'll save you a lot of time, potentially. All right, now in P2, again, I'm not going to play the raid leading stuff because I don't want the video to be too long. I'll just tell you exactly what I do. Look at my markers. I mark a square, and then I talk about the middle platform. What I just did there was I told the range to fully burn 1 Kabbalist, and then the entire rest of the raid. So good cleave classes like Hunters with Wild Spirits, as you see go down right here. You cleave Remornia, the boss, and both Kabbalists. This is where you get the most boss damage in the phase. You usually have your 2 minutes up if you save them from P1. You'll see my, you know, obviously everyone has all CDs up, right? Okay, and the reason I want to kill that one first earlier, I'll show you why, but it's important I marked it on the ground really fast to show people how to do that. And I can actually show you guys how to bind those markers at the end of the video. So we get all these things grouped up, right? And then we just do pretty good. This is like where you use all your stuff. It's 2 target cleave on the boss with the Kabbalists. The Impales come out. I usually assign the Impales one side of the platform, so it can be right or left. In Mythic, it's done a little differently, but in Heroic, you never actually make it to the other thing. You don't make it close to the mirror. So doing Impales there doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think it's simple enough to just have your Impales be on one side of the boss. Let's see how they did it. I never actually remember looking at this. Looks like, okay, well, the Impales went everywhere, but, you know, this is the first time literally 15 of them have ever done this boss. So, okay, you'll see me tab over to this Kabbalist right here, right? I'm going to look to my left. I'm looking at the Kabbalist health. Now, that thing I want to get around sub 30%, and I'll tell you why in a second. It's just to make it clean later. I just want the range to get it low. We know we're going to be fine on boss damage. So they get it a little bit lower. You can have the tank buff it as well. I prefer to not have the tanks buff it there. Also, keep in mind, these are with 2 pug tanks, so I did not expect any of them to buff a certain ad, right? You can make do with and without it. Here, very simple. Almost everyone does the same strat, but just to go over it, you go through the mirror. The Impales stay. Everyone else goes back through. That's what I said during this VOD. Also, if you guys want to hear my exact call-outs in every phase, I will have a link to this actual Twitch VOD of this pug kill in the description below as well. Just if you guys want to hear it all. I'm only going to let you listen to P3. So I don't kill this Kabbalist right away. You actually want to do this Massacre first. So killing the Kabbalist during the Massacre is a little dangerous. I don't know if they kill it during it, but it's not intentional. You want to kill it at the very end. So the Massacre happens, and then after the Massacre happens, then you deal with these puddles with nothing else happening, right? Just minimizes mistakes. Players will often make mistakes during Massacre and blood puddles. If you can avoid it at all possible, it's really helpful. Although I think there's one lineup later where you get it. So here you do the hand, you go in through the mirror. This is the boss phase. Now, you can make a dynamic call here, and I believe I do. Right now, the boss needs to be about 50% at this exact moment when you pull the boss through and the Kabbalists are porting. If the boss is lower than that, you can be a little greedy with Kabbalist damage on the edges, and I'll give you a little bit of a... Look at the tank. Dude, taunt, please. So that if you can get an idea of what we're dealing with before you watch the last phase and how, as a raid leader, you can kind of micromanage issues like that, that kind of gives you an idea. But the... Oh my god. Okay, so the boss is at 48, right? So I'm comfortable with that. So what I tell range to do here is... Guys, let the melee cleave the boss and the 2 Kabbalists ranged. I want you guys to get these Kabbalists to 50%. So it's the ones on the edges, right? I want range to full dot those because the boss is ahead. You only need to push before the 3rd Kabbalist, which is 45 seconds from now. That's 5% boss damage, right? That's a joke. You'll lose a little bit of boss damage here because Massacre is happening. Massacres happening during this. Now there's puddles here. Calling out puddles really helps in pugs, by the way. Even if you expect people to have weak auras for it, if they just hear you say puddles when they're noticing everything else, a lot of people don't have good sound cues set up. That'll really help them. So, okay, they got this Cabalist to 50%. I'll explain why that's significant in a second. I don't know if I look at the other one. I do. I look and I see that one's at 70. That's perfect, because you know you're going to push the boss in time, right? If anything, you get these impales, and that's the only difference, but that doesn't really matter. And then you simply push it through here, and you push to the middle. I lust immediately. I can see the argument to lust after the hand, but I like the lust immediately, especially getting rid of the Cabalist. So I come back here and deal with the impale with off the platform if you can, off the middle part, and then everyone comes back in. I will mark a spot on the ground, and from here on out, I'm actually going to play through the entire phase. It's going to be, well, like 2.5 minutes, and I want you to hear my callouts in real time. In fact, I'll get rid of my camera, and you guys can just listen to me and watch me raid lead and do this fight. And then I'm going to go back through it, explain to you why I did what I did, and what you can improve on, and like how you can morph this into using it for your guild or raid lead a pug on your own. Goal first, it's the square marker. Tanks, I want the boss to stay on square as well. Okay, these first seeds, everyone soaks them, by the way. Puddles are first. Puddles are right now. Watch puddles. Look at your feet. Knock back in 3, 2, 1. Good. Put them down right there. Good. Everyone pre-soaks these and then roar out. Everyone pre-soaks these. We're getting pulled in. This is going to be my AMZ in the middle, your Spirit Link Yi Yi, and Zeos Rally. And puddles. And puddles, puddles, puddles. Perfect. Knock back in 3 seconds. Good, tanks. I want you to keep him here. Everyone else bait on top of the guy. Be behind Denathrius here. 4, so we bait the pizza sauce in this side of the room. 1 interjection here. Calling it pizza sauce is a huge DPS increase. Okay, move out, move out. Keep the boss there, tanks. Triangle. Okay, it's gonna do a knockback into finesses. The seed spots are marked on the ground, or as close to it as possible. The second set of seeds, guys, look at the markers. Don't do what you're doing. Now the second set of seeds go closer to the boss. Everyone soaks these, including melee, and then after it, move the boss into the new seeds, and then soak those. Yep. Knock back in 3 seconds. 5 seconds, sorry. Oh my god, I just juiced all of those fucking... Okay, knock back in 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's going to do a massacre, and seeds are going down during this massacre, okay? Watch the massacre. We don't need damage here. We just need you guys to live. Now, soak seeds during it if you can. Soak seeds here. Need help? Good. After you guys are done soaking seeds, I need you to move you in closer to the boss. We're getting a knockback into a hand. Tanks, after the knockback, make sure the boss stays on diamond, okay? Okay, after this Hand of Destruction, it's going to be on diamond. It's going to be your AMZ Timorous Saw's Spirit Link. Get the seeds out, get the seeds out, get the seeds out. Good. It's going to Ravage soon. Soak these seeds, put the boss on diamond. Put the boss on diamond. No, not there. Diamond, yeah. Good. It's going to Ravage. Everyone sit on triangle. Everyone on triangle. Everyone on triangle. The marker triangle. Good. It's going to not... What's going on? That's not where we want to be. Yeah, just spread the seeds out here. Tanks, put the boss here on triangle. Everyone soak seeds and we live. Everyone soak seeds and we kill it, by the way. We're getting roar out of this. Soak seeds. My AMZ in the middle of these two, and your Spirit Link Nori. Nice. There's a few new people, so it was a little weird, but you guys did pretty well. Alright, so let me pull my camera back. Alright, so you guys saw how I raid led it in real time while playing. Because I don't want you guys to see how I would do this in like Heroic Week, right? Because like I'm outside the raid. This is me in a character playing. I didn't play so well in this pull, but you know, in a lot of the other content I'll release, I want to either show you with me working with a new guild or me in the raid doing it, so you can see a more realistic raid leading thing. Because there are some bosses, not many, where the kind of raid leading that I do outside the raid is not feasible inside the raid. There's not many where that's true. This is not one of them. So. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of the phase and kind of show you everything I did, but if you noticed, I was very, very, very specific with where I wanted the boss. I would actually say most P3 Denathrius wipes in pugs and in guilds are due to bad tank positioning or bad tank deaths, and we actually had a tank death here. But if you noticed, when I go through it later, we didn't wipe to it because I had everyone in the raid pre-positioned on triangle. What happens almost every time is a tank die. I don't know why it's that wave. I've never tanked this boss. I have no clue how hard it hits or where or why, but it always kills tanks there. So what happens in Pugs is if people don't pre-position after it casts that Ravage, how this boss works is when he casts Shattering Pain, if it kills a tank, it will knock you immediately rather than at the end of the cast. It ends the Shattering Pain if it kills a tank and knocks you, and it causes a lot of wipes. But tank positioning more than anything else is super important. I do mark some seed spots. If your players are good with personal responsibility and they get it, you don't need to mark seeds. This is a pure, like, this is a Pug, I'm going to raid lead as hard as I possibly can and make sure that we kill it kind of a situation. If your guild obviously is a step ahead of that, like, I would never mark that shit for our guild. I would just say put them in good spots and they would know what that means. But some of these people, I don't know if they know what that means, right? All right, so muting it. First seeds. Okay, so I have them kill this one first. I prefer to kill one of the Kabbalists, one of the 2 Kabbalists remaining at the very beginning. You can choose to, you can choose to kill one in the previous phase and just deal with one more blood puddle during Massacre to only have one here. Or you can cleave them both down. I prefer to just full burn one with Lust. It makes it cleaner. Again, this isn't a damage phase. You don't need to milk boss damage in this phase. It's just about control. As you saw, we killed it way ahead of the time in a Pug. Although, like, I guess people have decent gear in the Pug, but almost none of them have done it, right? They killed it still at like way ahead of when you need to. I think it was right after the second Ravage, basically. Okay, so we get knocked here. You have to watch these puddles. Now, I put a marker down for these 3 seeds. Again, you don't have to on your own, but you really want to soak the far ones. The ones not in the middle. The middle's the easiest one to go to because it's usually where you gathered for cooldowns. Now, there's a few things. One thing I didn't do very well on this pull, because even this is the one that I suggest melee and range soak. If you're a raid leader, I think every other seed in this fight can be done exclusively by ranged, unless you have a super heavy melee comp. This one should be everyone. It's the tightest one of the phase. It's the most common wipe. It's the hardest seed set of the phase. You just have everyone soak this one. It really helps to have some people stay back. 2 per side seed is great. If you can have a mage alter time back into triangle, another mage block in X if they don't have alter time up for some reason. You can have a warlock put his personal portal down on X and then take his personal portal back as soon as he gets sucked. You can have DKs use Death's Advance to prevent the knockback. You can have someone else immune. You can, like, you know, just you can instantly Door of Shadows out there. Just anything to maintain the soak during the suck is what you want to do. Right here, I used Death's Advance at the beginning of the phase, so I was unable to do that. So the boss is going to suck you in here, but if you had a mage alter time, you had someone else, watch the suck here. Always get a roar or a speed totem when you get pulled in for hand, just as a rule of thumb. Assign someone to do it or tell them before the pull. So I use CDs in the middle. So we soak the middle one too much. If you want to, the 2 on the side are a little more important. You can actually fully soak the middle one as an entire raid after this if you need to. And then we live, and then we do the last puddles. That one, the only reason it died that fast was because that's the one that we had at like 50% in the intermission. That's why we got it a little lower. It would die a little bit after this, but if you notice, there's nothing that happens after this, right? It's just Shattering Pain. So nothing really going on here. This is actually a pretty dead part of the fight, right? You get a knockback with nothing happening, and then all you need to do is bait it in one spot. Now, you could have the boss here, and you could have ranged all over the room. Like, you could have the ranged behind X and all over the platform, and you could bait a Ravage in a different part of the room. I prefer to bait it in a side that everyone knows where it's going to be, and then everyone moves out of it. It's easier on tanks, and it prevents random deaths. So the Ravage happens, you move out. We're going to have another Shattering Pain after this. This one, I wish tanks had it a little bit closer to the middle. That would be one thing. I do put a marker down here for the tanks to go to. There's an easy knockback to do. Right after this is the double seed set. This is most common wipe number 3 of the phase. And it's usually due to people with the second set of these Fatal Finesses cleaving people, soaking the other 3 markers. I prefer them to be done. They were done. I described it to these new players who hadn't seen this, but the first ones go there. I tell this one guy who's going too close to go back to his mark. He places it, right? We go soak it. The next ones, in my opinion, this is how this should be done because there's no knockback here, but I didn't tell these tanks this. I actually missed this call. You want the tank to drag the boss on top of these first seeds. Everyone soaks these first seeds, And then the new seeds go here, like 1, 2, 3. But I told them to go near the boss, but I forgot that I also didn't tell the tanks to move the boss. And I just have a marker on the ground, so they're probably just looking at the marker like, don't move. But you want to have these seeds like here. So right after you're soaking this, the boss is on you, melee are soaking and killing the seeds, or soaking the seeds and killing the boss. And then also the new ones are right behind you, and you can just shift. Because there's a knockback within 5 seconds of these going down, and a 30-man raid, it can take a while to soak these seeds. It scales up pretty real. After this, you have Shattering Pain, easy little knockback, nothing really happening during it. Now this, I don't know if a lot of people, actually, even in my experience in Pugs with a lot of newer players, people don't usually die to this massacre. They're a lot more likely to die in P2 than in P3. I don't know if it's because there's a wider area to dodge left and right, but I'm not as really scared about this. You don't really have a really tight time frame to soak these seeds either. You can kind of do it in a good amount of time. Like there's a knockback starting in 10 seconds, so it's not going off for about 10 seconds from now. So look how much time you have, right? It's super easy. Don't need to do too much of that at all. My only advice to people there is sometimes melee kill themselves in this fight due trying to milk too much boss damage. You just don't need to. You can very simply be off the boss for a long period of time, and you'll still kill the boss. If you just run around and don't get hit, it's fine. But losing melee over the course of the fight by being too greedy during Massacre can be an issue. So during this knockback, there's a Hand of Destruction right after it, and then a set of seeds right after it. I don't think I called a roar here. There might be one, and then I called a set of CDs, if you remember from the first time you watched the pull. Okay, it's going to pull you in. And then I put a marker diamond for everyone to live. So the seeds here want to go past the group. This is why the roar is important. You get pulled in, the seeds go past, and then people use the CDs on the marker I put. They put it a little bit past the marker, but the guy got out at the last second, so it's fine. And then you just simply move into the seeds. This hunter and the DH will be healed by the Spirit Link here. They get kind of saved by that. Okay, so here's the part of the fight where you'll notice, and I'll play my voice one more time and then talk about it. This is a very common wipe. This is the tank death, and you'll see that we get knocked back super early. Good. It's going to ravage. Everyone sit on triangle. Everyone on triangle. Everyone on triangle. The marker triangle. Okay. Do you guys see how it went off instantly? I'm going to mute my voice again. And I told them to stand on triangle. If you don't stand, obviously everyone knows the strat by now where you have the boss here and then you use the knockback to save you from the ravage. That's pretty common knowledge. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you need to be there early in case your pug tank dies, basically. Like, look at this guy. I mean, anything could have been done to save him. You know, we had a GS, we could have communicated it, but again, these people are new, so you expect deaths, right? So Shattering Pain, you'll see we get the knockback at the 2-second mark instead of 2 seconds later, so we're knocked out. At this point in the fight, this is the second hardest part of the fight. If you can kill it before this with like really good gear, but if you do get it, this is how you want to deal with it. The rest of the fight is very, very straightforward after this. You just get the seeds away from the middle and put the boss in the middle, or you can put the boss on the edge and put the seeds here. Either way, you just need, first of all, you hard soak these seeds similar to the ones at the beginning of the phase. Second, you just need the boss's Hand of Destruction to be a bit far away from where it is. So I scream, tanks go to triangle, tanks go to triangle here, and then we get gripped, we soak enough of it, and then we do this, and then the boss dies, right? So there's, so for stuff after this, this is from memory, I haven't seen past this in a while, but you get a knockback, you get a Fatal Finesse, you get another Massacre. There's no seeds during the Massacre, if I remember correctly. There's one, this last Hand of Destruction, number 4, is very similar to the one you just saw, and it's done the exact same way. Tell your tanks to go in a spot. At a certain point, if you have new tanks that they don't know where to go, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to go in the last phase, I'm going to call, I'm going to call the seeds, I'm going to call all this, and it's just like, tanks, you know where to be. They really don't know where to be. In fact, movement in this phase is pretty intricate as far as where the boss actually needs to be for knockbacks and for everything. Like this is one of the most important tank positioning phases actually that there's been in a while in Heroic at least. So guide your tanks, even if it means you are basically just terrible with your buttons. It is so much more effective for your group to just hard carry them with calls. You know, because you just expect they don't know anything, and you'll always get by with the less damage, right? So that's it for this boss. Again, if you guys want, I'm going to be doing this for multiple mythic bosses. I think it's important that you guys tell me in the comments what you guys want out of this and what you like. If you really like this part of the video or X part of the video, that's the thing I get from this video. I don't want to be another video that's telling you guys on how to do bosses. That's easy, right? I'm telling you the way I do it, and I'm telling you why I do it, and maybe coming at it from a different angle than a lot of the other ones would. And if it's accomplishing that, then that's really good. I would love for you all to, you know, like and subscribe and tell me that that's exactly what you want. But I think this is a good form of content on my channel. So just please, again, if you guys like certain parts of it, let me know. And I will be doing these in Mythic, but I'm not going to rush them out. In fact, I have about 3 I can make right now. But what I'm waiting on is I don't want to make you a video guide of how I do these bosses with Limit, because honestly, it's completely different than my experience recently with helping coach and raid lead lower ranked guilds. There's a lot of different issues. Like on Zymox, for example, I'd never thought twice about stasis traps, and then within 3 pulls of doing it with, you know, a guild that raids 2 nights a week around the US 200, 300 range, is that stasis traps are actually a pretty big problem, and they need to be gone instantly, you know? And because of that, I'm making these boss guides on how to do bosses early in the raid, midway through the raid, all the way through the raid, at a pace where I can see and deal with it around the same skill level as you guys will deal with it now, which I think is a lot more helpful, because if I'm doing it with Limit, I just won't run into the problems that you guys might see. So it may take a while to get those videos out, like I said, but when they're out, I would like to think that they'll be really helpful for you in how I dealt with it with a guild of that skill level. So, all right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.